Hello, people. How you doing? Today, I'm here with James Proctor, my good friend and partner. And James, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a few days. I know you've been very busy out
Yeah,
in the real world.
yeah. No, doing good. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Well, we're going to catch up on everything. We're going to do January is almost over. There's a few days left, and I think this January may have been one of the busiest months in the mob genre. What do you think about that, James?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot going on this month, and so I just, you know, you'd think at the beginning of the year it might be a little slow, but not this year.
No, we thought we would slow down as a show. We really haven't, and our growth has been continuous, which is a good thing. And we thought for sure that we would slow down this month. But you know what hasn't slowed down? The
What's that?
informants. And there's one informant that's out now, and we're going to talk about him first. And the reason we're going to talk about him first is because he seems to be the catalyst, the person for the informants that's doing all the attacking. So let's put him up on the screen real quick. Okay, now I want you to hear this because here we go. Let me put this on first.
I had them so mad because I put a picture of him in a Cinderella dress, right? And he sent a Christmas card, and they got my signature off the internet and made it like I sent them a Christmas card.
Right.
I said, listen, you fat little I would never send you anything. I think it's hysterical, but he picked the wrong guy. With me, I'll never stop. I'm relentless. They know that. I'll never stop. I love drama. I love beef.
He could have gone on and just interviewed people.
What sells in this business is controversy. That's what people love. They don't want to hear about, oh, I'm in politics now and I'm doing this. They want to hear the crazy stuff. They want to hear you arguing with people and doing this. So he knew that. He tried to embarrass Mike Francis. For him saying that, it was like so corny, like Jesus Christ in the mafia. I had them so mad.
Okay. So when you see that, what's the first thing you think, James?
No, he's just, I mean, I kind of agree in one part about the, people do like drama and controversy, and also he is one that likes it. So I mean, that part I can agree. But as far as the other stuff, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay, now, what do you think about Michael Francis saying that he's willing to interview him, even though he's known all the things that Gene Barello has done, what he's been arrested for? And now, do you think this is the way that informants are kind of protecting themselves by all working together?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like, that they work together. We see it all the time. It seems like that when, for example, on Joey Merlino, we had a lot of the informants attacking him at the same time. So it's almost like it's coordinated to me whenever, they want to go after someone. And it's just kind of odd to me because, I would think, as an informant, you would, you're wanting to start your life over. You don't want to be, into all that. And it's a no-win, really. I don't know how an informant thinks they can win going up against someone that hasn't informed. It's just, it's kind of that the idea of public opinion. People just don't like informants for the most part.
Well, I'm going to tell you how nervous Joey looked.
Wow. Wow.
Does Joey look like he has a worry in the world with these guys?
No, I don't think he pays any mind to it. He'll respond to it on his show, but I mean, part of that too is he's just not going to put up with if someone wants to use his name, he's not afraid to go back after him. So yeah, he doesn't have any concerns.
Do you think that because of the way he's done things, it's kind of changed things up with the informants? Where when he first came on, the informants, they were all over the place, and now they seem a little more united. It's like they're united against anybody that goes after them. Do you think that that's done purposely because of Joey Merlino?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it's. Yeah, I mean, it probably is because he's the one guy that's not an informant that's came on, and also he's been exposing and talking about what these informants have done. So yeah, I mean, I would think that's a good point.
You know what I find amazing, James, is that
What's that?
Joey Merlino is going over to Patreon. And I checked out some numbers of his. His numbers for Patreon and just starting out are excellent. I mean, he's getting like almost 1,000 likes
Oh, wow.
on his.
Yeah, and that's hard. I mean, the thing is with Patreon, when you're having to, people pay, I think, what is it, 15 a month, something
for
like
him,
that?
it's $15 a month.
15 a month. And so, I mean, to get 1,000 likes on on a video or whatever, that's really good. I mean, the two people that have done well with Patreon, I mean, we've done well as well, but, talking about at a stratospheric level is, Mikey Scars. I think they have over 1,000 people,
Right.
And I guess Joey does too.
And people don't realize how difficult it is to go on to Patreon and get off to that level right away, because you're only going to grow if people like you.
Yeah, exactly.
At the beginning on Patreon, you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you got to correct them. And when I see some of his numbers on his shows, if you go onto his Patreon page, you'll see a lot of people have liked those shows, and those people have to be part of the show.
You're not allowed to even see it if you're not a subscriber. And so, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a great point. If you've got that many likes, that many people viewing, that means that you have that many paid subscribers. So, it's definitely probably providing more income than YouTube, tell you that.
But on top of that too, like today he has a show going on to YouTube on a Thursday like he used to.
Yeah.
So that I'm thinking that he's actually figured out that I'm going to put this show on, I'm going to do it on Patreon, and then I'm going to put it out on YouTube. And that's kind of like the Mikey Scars model.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good way to do stuff, in my opinion, because you still need to be able to get exposure, get people to know about it. Because, if you're not on YouTube, YouTube's free, obviously. And if you're not on YouTube, then how are you going to drive people to the Patreon? So you need to be able to do it either through YouTube, through other social media platforms.
Okay. And the last couple of days, I've been very active online because of a certain person Junior Pagan has shown up, and he gave an interview yesterday to another content creator. I'm not going to bash nobody by name here. I don't think I have to, but he came on, and I'm just going to put up a little short I made, and then you can. Hector Pagan, you said that you only wore wire for 4 days. It's been reported that you wore wire for over a year, and that's reported by several people, even people close to you, that you wore wire for over a year. So 4 days? Come on, that's ridiculous. And then you also said that you wore the wire to save your father-in-law? Really? You were wearing it to save him? No, you were wearing it because you committed a murder, you got caught, and you were trying to save yourself, and you didn't care who else went down besides yourself. This wasn't going to be a story about Hector Pagan until he just showed up out of it. Well, someone announced that he was bringing him on, and he brought him on. He did an interview, and he lied so many times in the interview. I've gotten so many remarks from people back, hundreds and hundreds of them. My email filled of, hey, Lee, why don't you say this, this, and this? I've had one person come to me and says that his interview, it's obvious that the person didn't research him. And the main thing that wasn't researched, or it wasn't challenged, is when he said that he wore a wire for only 4 days. He literally said that during the interview, James.
Yeah. And so, as far as that goes, I mean, that's in the documentation, that's in the paperwork, how long he wore a wire, because it was saying, you have the dates of when he was providing information to the feds. And so if it was 4 days, that's what it would have said, but it was over a year if you go back into the paperwork. And so that's what you have to do with these informants. You have to challenge them with providing facts. You don't, I think that's the best way to counter it, is just have the facts. Just say, I would have asked, hey, you wore a wire for over a year, what was your reason for it, or something like that, instead of an open-ended question of saying, well, it's how long you wore it, or whatever. I mean, 4 days the difference between 4 days in a year. I mean, that's not.
It's comical. It's
a
comical.
lie.
It is
Yeah.
comical.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that
Yeah.
this was not challenged. It's like the replies I got on that, James, is incredible. I've never had so many replies on one thing out of anything I've ever done. I mean, I've had people contact me on through my email, and their emails are like 2 pages long of what the events and how it happened.
Right.
We have an interview lined up next week with someone that was very, very close to him. So that's next Thursday, people, just so you know, by the way. So next Thursday, we have an interview because this person was so upset that he was there lying. And then he lied he said that he decided to, by wearing a wire, he's the reason his father-in-law didn't get so much time. So basically, he wore the wire, he said, to save his father-in-law, who he loved. He literally said that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I just did a short. We'll be putting it up on a guy named Frank Gioia Jr. And he said the same thing. Why did he didn't wear a wire, but why did he decide to become an informant? And he claims that when he was in prison, that someone was going to take out his father, and so he decided to do that. And so, they always have excuses for why they do that. And so it's unbelievable. Just admit why you did it. If you're going to go onto a platform, be honest. That's what I have to say about it.
And I've gotten a few threats already by people with new accounts that have come in and said, you're messing with the wrong guy. When you mess with Junior, he's not like these other guys, Lee. You have to understand you're going to get hurt.
That's just him. That's just him setting up an account,
or somebody
or
that
a
knows.
friend. Yeah,
but
close to him.
And we've gone after everybody here. Heck, I went after Sammy, and all of a sudden, and this is when you deal with the sleazy informants.
This is the lowest of the low.
This is the Frankie Pasqua type of informant. It's like there's these certain informants that they're very low level informant. Not only are they low level, they've done some really horrible things.
Yeah.
He's also made excuses for when he shot the victim that he was robbing, and he didn't seem like he really cared. He didn't seem like there was any remorse there whatsoever. And there were a lot of lies made up about this guy that he shot.
Are they going to be remorseful? The thing is that most people, unless they actually change their life, they're not remorseful. They're just upset they got caught. They're just upset that they went to prison or they got in trouble. That's what it is. I mean, why would he care that he shot someone? Because he's done it. He's in a criminal enterprise. He's doing stuff to, of course he's not remorseful.
And this guy, James Donovan, that he killed, slowly bled to death, and which is what we talked about. He was shot in the femoral artery of the leg. And it was a horrible death. By the time he got to the hospital, it was too late. But when you shoot somebody and you let them bleed out like that, and because you want some money, is what it comes down to. And then on top of that, what do you think about this guy committing the crime? And this is another thing they don't talk about. He was a federal, wasn't he? Wasn't he with the feds before that crime happened, James?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. I think it was like 2010, 2009, and he was already...
the crime happened in 10 and 11 when the trial, all that stuff.
Right.
They say he became a federal witness in 2006.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was saying is before then is where it is, because the crime was 2010. 10 or 11. So yeah, I mean, that's when he was already a witness.
And when they talk about platforming guys, and I've been accused of that, I have interviewed people, and that's good. That's considered a form of platforming. But this guy was platformed and not challenged at all with the remarks that he was making. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, we're going to put up the documentation of exactly how long this guy was wearing a wire, and maybe that would help the person that interviewed him, so he would understand how long this man was wearing a wire and how he blatantly lied on your show. And then we'll also talk about the ridiculous remark that I was saving my father-in-law. Mm-hmm. You destroyed your family.
Yeah. You
weren't saving your father-in-law. What a cop-out. It's like when you're watching this, James, I've heard everybody come on here. We've heard everybody come on here and give interviews about their story. That was easily the worst story I've ever heard. When someone's defending themselves. Mm-hmm. It was so poor. It's like you could see him stuttering, stammering. You could see that he was full of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm not surprised, just knowing, the only thing I know about him is what I've read, what the court documents. I mean, the guy's a bad dude. I mean, that part I know. I never watched Mob Wives. I don't know anything about, that aspect of it. But, just from what I've read in those court documents, I mean, he's not a good guy.
You don't have no posters of any of the Mob Wives?
No.
I have 4 of them.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. Okay. Okay. So where do you think? Okay. So Joey's over on Patreon. He's still going to come over. He's still going to do the show. He's still going to have the rat of the month. So that's not going to change. Where do you see things going from this point on? We're in January. And now we got a new guy here. We got a couple new guys here that came. One guy that claimed that he joined a mob in Denver and he was made, even though he wasn't Italian. Most ridiculous. Another ridiculous story. But now these guys are coming in here, James, with the most ridiculous stories and excuses. It's not even like they're solid excuses. They're not even good at what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think that problem is a lot of people are naive. They don't research these people. They hear these stories and, especially people that's not from the street, and they hear these exciting stories and they just, they draw towards them. But the thing is that anyone with any sense, anyone that's done any sort of research will be able to see it. We'll be able to see the lies, be able to expose what's true and what's not. So, you're going to continue to have people, if there's an ability to make money, be able to grow an audience, and you're an informant and they see others that do that, you're just going to have more of them that do that. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
And then you have John and Gene, John Alite and Gene Barillo. They were apart. Gene got into some legal situations 3 years ago, and they were continuous for the next couple of years. So he wasn't able to do the show with John Alite. Now he is. They're back doing the show. Their numbers are really good if you check their numbers. And, some people say, oh, Lee, don't mention it. It's the truth. So, yeah, I'm going to mention it. The fact of the matter is they've come up with the decision to not only that, Gene was in the car attacking Joey Merlino. And then they did this silly thing where they had a debate, and Joey Merlino, Alite was defending Joey Merlino, and he was saying how bad Sammy Gravano was, and Gene was doing opposite. Mm-hmm. They were sitting there at a table having a debate about it. I mean, yeah. That was like it totally looked staged to me, James.
Well, I mean, it probably is. I mean, it's probably like a script, like just some sort of, trying to be a comedy routine, I'm assuming. But, I don't watch him. But I mean, I know from before they they were entertaining. They had a big audience. And so, I mean, as long as you don't take it serious, then, I guess, let them do what they want to.
And it's hard not to take it serious for the simple fact that Gene Barillo attacks anybody, including wives and stuff. That's why, when he goes at Joey Merlino, he goes beyond just Joey Merlino.
Exactly.
He makes it a very personal attack.
Yeah.
And he
went after his wife and said, horrible stuff about his wife. And so, yeah, I mean, that's there's no class there when you do that.
So what do you think about the month of January?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's it started off with a bang. That's what I say. The year started off with a bang. And so I think it's going to continue. I mean, you're seeing, you see a lot of options for people for content. You've got, I think it was very good to see Joey come on, just because you've got someone that's not an informant that's able to at least put out their side of it, whether you like him or not. So, I think it's good for the genre to have these voices. But, as far as the informants go, it's just going to continue. It's never going to end. You'll have a new one every couple of months, and we'll have to put them in their place.
Well, the problem is, James, that lately it's been 1 a month, 2 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be like every 6 months.
Yeah.
For the first couple of years, somebody would just show up. Now they're just, it's like they're sitting at home and they're hearing, oh, look at this YouTube thing. I can go on there and tell stories, or I'm an informant. They got all these informants on here, so I can go on and do that too.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. What's interesting though, I've been thinking about it with the informants. Sammy Gravano 3 years ago was talking about he was going to get Phil Leonetti on, that there's going to do an interview. They're going to do stuff together. Phil Leonetti's never came on YouTube. And so, I just have this feeling he's not going to. You got people, I think you got people like that. Also, you don't hear a lot from, some of these informant, you don't hear as much from, the ones that aren't quite as bad. But, it's going to be interesting. I just think you're going to have at least 5, 6, 7 more come out this year.
Well, who are they going to be?
I just don't think Phil Leonetti or someone at that caliber, I don't see them coming on.
I'll give you an example. I just heard Panisi. I heard a video. I seen Panisi made a video about maybe just about a year ago. And during that video, he was talking about how he went to a couple trials and was a witness. So you got people on here who are still witnesses.
Yeah,
the feds, and they're on here.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something, my understanding, the feds don't like that because it can hurt.
But do you think they don't? Do you think they really don't like it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think they would. I think it hurts if it hurts the case that they're trying to pursue. Then I don't think they like it. I mean, if it's about being able to help recruit others, then yeah, they like it. I think that part of it they do like, but I think it's after that they're no longer a witness. No longer.
Do you think that maybe they're getting Joey Merlino to make a mistake and say something, do something? Because he is by far, he's John Gotti of this era, where he is being watched every day by the feds. So it's obvious that Joey Merlino has to watch what he says. And he's continuously provoked by these informants. And
yeah, I mean, only thing I know as far as the feds go, and I don't think the informants as much as what matters to them is they're just looking for a reason to get Joey jammed up. They were embarrassed about 2018 when, he got convicted in 2018, but not on the serious charges. They made up that big story of a East Coast mafia enterprise or whatever. And
Okay, let me just so people don't know what James is talking about. Here's what he's talking
In
about.
2016, the federal government made an announcement they had indicted over 40 members of the 5 crime families of New York and Philly crime family. Allegedly, Patsy Perello, a heavyweight with the Genovese, and Joey Merlino was running an organized criminal organization called the East Coast La Cosa Nostra Enterprise. This made huge headlines at the time with allegations of illegal gambling, credit card fraud, and Medicare fraud. Much of the government's case was based upon audio recordings from John Rubio, who became an informant. The government invented this new criminal organization so they could charge all those arrested with RICO. People who knew anything about the mob knows that the families have specific rules on how different families interact with one another, and for the most part by 2016, the families did very little together. The case unraveled and most of the defendants either were found not guilty like Joey Merlino, or they pled out to lesser charges. The point is that there was not an East Coast La Cosa Nostra enterprise, and it boiled down to prosecutors with an overactive imagination and a lying informant.
And we know that the feds have reactive personalities or whatever, just by what's going on in our political world.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they're looking to get Joey jammed up. So they're looking for, for anything he gets involved with. I'm sure that the tax authorities are looking at. I would hate to be in his shoes because just by being on you, that's what I don't think people understand with him being on YouTube or Patreon, even in Patreon, that, he's doing this because he's got a passion to get out the story and he hates what had happened to friends around him and people that he knows, including himself, that got jammed up by these informants. And so, I mean, he's putting himself in a position though, by doing that for the feds to come after him. And I'd hate to be in his shoes, to be honest.
Yeah. Something. And he doesn't seem like he has an ounce of fear, which is, I guess that just tells a man's personality. He's definitely not afraid to go to jail. I'm sure he doesn't want to go to jail, but these people would like to hem him up.
I totally believe so.
And it's January. It's going to be interesting. January of next year, God forbid, if we're all here and healthy and everything, it's going to be interesting that we go over this video to see exactly where these people are at.
Yeah.
As for Hector Pagan, guy, tell the truth about you. If you're going to come on here and talk about your stuff, man, come on here and tell the truth. Don't come out here with these sorry ass excuses that you put out yesterday or a couple days ago. They were horrible. And James, how would you like to finish up? You were about to say something.
No, I was just saying that, it's going to be interesting, what's going to happen the rest of the year. I think we're going to see some of these informants that will, they'll get brutalized and they won't be on anymore. But then you'll have others that they just won't stop. I think you get someone like like Gene Borello. I think he likes the negativity. He likes he doesn't care about, all of that. But then you got others that are really thin skinned that will just, get off of YouTube whenever it becomes too hot for them. So it depends on the person, depends on the personality. But I also think you may see some others because of Joey coming out like he did as a legitimate, as a person that never ratted. I think you'll see.
And we had Chris Colombo too.
Chris Colombo.
Right.
I think you're going to. I do think we'll have at least another person that's a non-rat that will come out this year.
And we have a few of them that are getting out of prison.
Yes.
It's going to be based on their parole.
Mm-hmm.
And what type of parole they're on. I mean, you got guys like Center getting out. I doubt very much he's going to come on here, but can you imagine his show? Oh my God. He'd blow everybody away. Can you imagine a guy that actually was in the middle of all that from Roy DeMeo and he can actually give those details out?
Yeah, those are some great stories. And, we had the one guy, what was it, Matiglio, Dominic, and he's
Yes.
dead, and but he ratted as well, and I understand maybe reason for I don't know his story that much, but Anthony Center definitely didn't rat, and so
Right.
it would be great I would be curious to hear his side of it. But also the thing is, a lot of these guys, what I'm noticing too, that they're getting out of prison, but they're not going back into that life. I think that things,
The life's not there. The
the
life's not
life's
there.
not there. They're not
No.
going back to it. I mean, and some of the big names, and I'm not going to mention them. They just go to Florida and retire. They're
And
not.
we know a couple more getting out this year, so it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Mhm.
But there are some of them that are going to be getting out with lifetime parole to the day they die. I
Mm.
mean,
Yeah.
we know that Gene Gotti's under strong restrictions to the day he dies.
Yeah.
He wouldn't insult himself and be involved in this crap anyway.
No.
Definitely not.
Not in this day. This it's not the same mob. It's unfortunately there's not, or fortunate and unfortunate, whatever side you take, it's just not the life anymore. It's just not there.
Well, James, I appreciate everything. And next year we're going to see. I'm going to look back at this video and say, okay, who's the new guys?
Yeah.
Is Gene in jail? These are the questions we got to ask. Is Joey still going to be on here? Is someone going to hem him up?
Mhm.
And where's this genre going to be in a year from now? It's going to be very interesting. And James, where will we be in a year from now?
I mean, look at just. I mean, it's funny. Just since September, 5 months. How much we doubled. I mean, will we be at 40,000? We could be. If we continue.
You know what? I'll be happy with 30,000.
Mm-hmm.
If we're at 30,000. I'm an older guy, the more we get, the better. I don't want to drop dead the day that we get to 100,000. But it's we're going to keep putting up interesting stuff. James, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Everybody, please hit the like button and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. By rule, half the people that watch our show, a little bit more, are not subscribed. So if you hit the subscribe button, we'd appreciate it. With that, everybody, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.